Stand by to initiate release sequencer. On my mark. 5.
We're on express elevator to hell. Going down.
2. 1. Mark.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mark, a.k.a. Derringer. Today is Saturday, June 2nd, and you are listening to episode 159 of the Instant Action Podcast, your weekly source for Planetside 2 news and information. As always, I'm brought to you by great listeners like you via the Support the Show tab on instantactionpodcast.com. So, yeah, you heard that right. I am recording today, Saturday, June 2nd, and it's really just for a selfish reason, and maybe not so much selfish, but I am going to have zero time on Sunday, June 3rd, because my daughter is graduating from high school that day, and we'll be prepping the house for a cookout in the afternoon, a big party in the afternoon for her, and a bunch of her friends that she's graduating with, as well as family and friends in the area. And so basically, I'm going to wake up Sunday morning. Now, Sunday mornings, I usually record the podcasts, 9, 10 a.m. or whatever, depending if I have soccer or not. But this week, I'm going to get up that early, and I'm going to be outside setting up tables, getting decorations up. I've got to head out and get ice for all the soda and beer that I've purchased for the event. And then my parents will be down around 11:30 because they're coming to the graduation ceremony. And apparently we have to arrive there at noon for a 1 o'clock ceremony. I guess it's first come, first serve for seating. And then got to do the whole ceremony. And after that, we'll be back at my house going late into the night to do the whole party and everything like that. And then on Monday, we're going to turn right around and we're going up to the college that she's attending at UNH, and we're going to be at University of New Hampshire, for those that don't know. We'll be attending her orientation at UNH, so and that's Monday and Tuesday. So, like I said, I'm going to be busy Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and we'll have absolutely zero time to record a show and do anything like that. So that's why I'm doing it tonight on Saturday. It's late. It's already 10 o'clock at night on Saturday, and I have a metric fuck ton of chicken wings that I need to go upstairs and prepare. So this might be a little shorter show than normal, but honestly, there's not a lot of huge Planetside 2 news out there right now. We're kind of in a holding pattern. Wrel teased on Twitter that most likely we were going to get a PTS patch this past week. We didn't get it because apparently they were celebrating National Donut Day with donuts and video games instead. So I expect next week that we're going to see a pretty good PTS patch. We're also going to see a pretty good game update next week as well, with probably a lot of construction stuff, guns, things like that have kind of been sitting on PTS for a while now. I know Wrel tweeted or teased that he's looking at 9 pages of comments already, or 9 pages of game update notes already. So it's going to be a big one. So whatever I don't do this week, I'm sure I'm going to make up for it in a much longer show next week. So without further ado, let's get this show on the road. So what is actually in store for this week's show? Well, first I have some main battle tank comparisons to talk about, followed by a Reddit post that scared me regarding the devs. And then I'm going to follow that up with some thoughts on double XP and quad XP weekends. Then I want to finish up the show with some info from Wrel on what's coming in the next patch and beyond. I was actually just in his Twitch stream before recording this and got some information from him. So strap in as we hot drop into another episode of the Instant Action Podcast. So first up this week, a 1-month comparison of main battle tank guns. And this is based off of a tweet that Wrel sent out. He wrote, "That feeling when, quote unquote, everyone uses HESH, but is clearly not the case." And he posted some stats that cover May 1st through May 31st, so an entire month's worth of data on what guns main battle tanks are actually using. I wish he had included lightnings in this as well, because I do feel like I get heshed a lot by main battle tanks, but I also feel that lightnings heshing me is certainly something as well. So, Wrel, if you're listening this week, let's see that same exact data, but I'd like to see you add in lightnings as well and see what the lightning, heat, AP, and heshes are. But with the data that we do have from this, he broke down Prowler, Vanguard, Mag Rider, and Heat, AP armor piercing, and the HESH rounds as well, to kind of prove a point that not everyone is actually using HESH as much as people think. And now he's got total infantry kills and also total vehicle kills for each of these. I'm just going to zero in on the infantry kills because that feels like where HESH is actually used the most, or most players complain about using HESH the most. Now, when we actually look at the HESH totals, in the month of May, there were 61,611 Prowler HESH kills, 63,419 Vanguard HESH kills, and only 37,000 Mag Rider HESH kills. And when we actually look at some of these numbers, the gun used most, or the main battle tank cannon used most to get the most infantry kills, was actually the Prowler armor-piercing one, because in the month of May, Prowlers logged 95,131 infantry kills with their AP. Now, they also logged 110,476 vehicle kills, so clearly there's a lot of Prowler drivers out there compared to the other ones. But again, 95,000 for Prowlers. Mag Rider's AP as well was their number one with 71,266 kills. So Vanguard is the only vehicle, the only main battle tank out there whose HESH kills exceeded both their heat and armor-piercing kills. Like I said before, Vanguard HESHs were 63,419. Let's just say 63,000 to make it easy. But still, Prowler AP and Mag Rider AP, 10,000 more kills than that almost easily on each of those. So with this data, even though players, and it's probably mostly infantry players, feel like they're getting killed by HESH at a much larger rate, you actually aren't. You're getting killed by AP a lot more than you're actually getting killed by HESH within the game itself, at least most recently in the month of May. I mean, we could see data going back further in time, and maybe those numbers would change a little. I'm not really sure. But clearly this is data that's saying HESH isn't as prevalent within the game as people really think it is. And again, at least last month. And let's be honest, last month was probably one of the biggest months for Daybreak Games in regards to Planetside 2. We had that week-long double XP followed by a members double XP weekend. There were tons of players within the game itself playing the game. So I think May itself was probably a pretty big month and probably produced a lot of good data points for them. So this information is actually pretty valuable. And I hope that folks out there who are just crying about HESH all the time maybe take a step back and rethink exactly what's going on within the game itself. Because, again, really, Vanguard's the only one. NC are the only ones that are using HESH more than AP or Heat. Again, the Prowlers and Mag Riders, TR and VS, they're using AP a lot more than they're actually using HESH within the game itself. Again, a lot of interesting data points that you can pull just from this information here. I was surprised, I'm not going to lie. Now, being someone who loves data myself, I feel like this is only part of the story regarding this because, let's be honest, anybody can plop information in front of you and say, here's the facts. But you need to look at data from all kinds of directions to get everything out of it to see if it's really the true picture. Because there's an old saying for folks who make graphs and stuff like that for a living that you can present a graph in any way you want to present the information in the most favorable light for you. So that being, I'd kind of like to see a little more information regarding this. I mean, total kills gives us a good number, but I'd kind of like to know how many main battle tanks that represents, if they have that data, what the range of battle ranks is of players using those guns is. I mean, is it a lot more higher players using those things? Some other things I'd like to dig deeper into is it's clear that the Prowler is killing a lot more than other main battle tanks in both infantry and vehicles. Why is that? So a lot of little things like that. Also, why does Mag Rider have the least amount of infantry kills in total, which is kind of surprising. So I'm wondering if are less Mag Riders being pulled within the game itself for one reason or other right now. There's a lot of extra questions that I have regarding this data, and not only just the lightning stuff I'd like to see as well. But I doubt we're going to get more than what we have on this, but certainly I appreciate the transparency that they made in providing us this information. And with that, let's move on to our next topic this week. So our next topic is, it was on Reddit, and it was someone complaining about having a massive performance drop. And they talked about how their FPS went from 60 down to 10 during fights, and that they were playing on pretty much potato settings right now. They gave what their MOBO, CPU, GPU, stuff like that is. Now, granted, they are using a pretty low end, or not a low end, but not a top-of-the-line Radeon RX 460, which... I mean, you'd probably want to get an upgraded video card at this point. They might want more RAM at this point. But, that all being said, their computer isn't terrible. It can certainly play Planetside 2. But that's really not why this topic kind of jumped out at me last week. It's more the response that we got from one of the devs, Prompt Critical, and he posts, hey, it looks like your performance got considerably worse after April 1st when you upgraded drivers from 18.2.1 to 18.3.3. Your frame rate has been 100% GPU bound since then. Typically, we expect to see your frame rate nearly 100% CPU bound in Planetside 2. I'm not sure if that date correlates to when you started having issues, but I would recommend upgrading to either 18.3.4 or 18.4.1 or even 18.5.1. I see most other folks with your GPU using 18.4.1 without issues. Now, that's what Prompt Critical posted in Reddit. Now, what that tells me is, A, he can see what Daybreak Games can see what drivers you're using based on your card. They can see whether you're GPU bound or whether you're CPU bound within the game itself. They can tell you what other people are using and what version of the drivers that they're using within the game. It's like, I saw this, I was like, holy shit. They're collecting so much freaking data from us that they can actually find a single person within the game itself, figure out what they're using in the game, whether they're GPU or CPU bound, and give them information that absolutely blew my mind. Now, I mean, just the fact that I know they're collecting information from us. It's in the terms of service, and everything like that. But it just doesn't hit you when you see, until you actually see them post something like this, and then you actually get a response from the person who posted it saying, wow, I'll try all these things and see what happens. And he says, will do, thanks for the reply. And then edit, I'm seeing an improvement already. Guess that was it. It's like, holy crap. They're just the amount of information that they're pulling from us that would allow him to actually, like I said, find an individual person in game and tell them probably what their issue with the game itself. Kind of mind-blowing when you actually sit down and think about it. I'd also use this as a PSA to make sure you update your graphics drivers from time to time to make sure you're getting the best performance within the game itself. But again, more than anything, the reason I wanted to talk about this one is because just the fact that the amount of information that they have on you kind of blows my mind. It really kind of blew my mind. And I know a lot of other people read this as well, and was like, holy crap, they're really pulling on so much information from us. I guess Big Brother is watching. All right, moving on to third topic this week. There was a post this week also on Reddit about having more double XP or quad XP weekends within the game itself. And the user, it's Bedzyke NC, says, why don't we get 2 times XP every weekend or 4 XP once a month? It can help new players and old vets. It can unlock things they don't have, plus bring a lot of players to the game, since the game had like 6,000 players at its peak compared to the 2,000 it usually has. And there was a response from Roxley, and Roxley wrote that members get double XP during the last week of every month. They've been increasing the amount of double XP periods alongside various promotions that we have. But she also says if you have these all the time, they stop being special and exciting, and they don't want to overkill anything. Now, that being said, it was interesting to see that Bedzyke, who posted this, says that a game like Call of Duty allows double XP every weekend. And a game like that has 500,000 players playing the game. And for a monetization side of it, everybody knows that you might buy more boosts every time there's double XP to make it a lot more worth it, and things like that. He also goes into a big thing on membership and how membership's kind of not worth it for him. I have membership, but I primarily have membership just to support the devs more than anything else. But I wanted to just weigh in on this 2XP or 4XP stuff because I'm kind of in the same camp as Bedzyke is. I think that the more that you throw out big events like this, like the whole week of double XP was big. I mean, we got a lot of people back into the game, new players coming to the game like that. And as I said on a previous show, I really think that they should think about throwing out these double XP weekends or weeks when they drop big game updates to the game. Now, like if it was me, and I know I'm not a developer, so, I'm just talking out of my ass at this point for what it's worth. When a big game update drops, and I think we're pretty all set to have a big one drop on us next week, that the data that it drops, I would offer double XP for that day and a couple other days, a few more days after it drops. I'd love to see an entire week of double XP again around the exact same time that a big game update hits, because you're going to get a few things from this. You're going to get a lot of people coming back into the game to check it out, and maybe some people who weren't coming back into the game to check it out are going to rethink it and say, well, now there's also double XP going on. I'm probably still doing ASP, so I need to get a bunch of levels while this is going on, and I can take advantage of that. Why don't I come back in and, hey, while I'm back, I can check out all these new things that they've added to the game as well. If there's new guns dropping, well, hey, maybe I'm going to trial this gun for 30 minutes, and if I like it, maybe I'm going to buy the gun, and that adds more monetization to the game itself. I really think they should be a little more fluid with these double XPs, even if it's just a weekend. Like I said, if a patch comes out on Thursday, offer double XP from Thursday straight through the end of the weekend. It's just another little incentive to get some people into the game itself to try out all the new stuff, because you're going to get a lot of feedback during that 4 days, 3 days, 2 days, or whatever that people are doing double XP. You're going to get a lot of feedback in that time frame by bringing in a whole bunch of those players that maybe were sitting on the fence during that time. Anyways, that's my thought on it. I wanted to throw it out there. If Daybreak's listening to this week's show for any reason, just give it a thought. You don't have to implement it because obviously it's your game. With that, let's move on to our fourth and final topic this week. And then I got some listener email to cover as well. So last topic, like I said, before recording tonight, I was actually in Wrel's Twitch watching him play and listening to him talk and interacting with people. And he threw out he took some time and said, anybody have any questions, go ahead and ask. So I said, is there anything, or can you throw me a it's not something anybody knows about coming in the next patch so that I could talk about it on this week's podcast? And he said, sure. He said, this is something that's been mentioned before, but or that he's mentioned before in passing, but in the next game update, which is most likely going to be next week, they are adding the ability to bind the /squad promote me command to a hotkey, so that mid-play you can quickly switch off squad leader by pressing a hotkey rather than getting into the chat and then typing /squad promote me. That's kind of big news. And hopefully everybody remembers that that's out there, because you're going to actually have to physically go in and bind that to a hotkey. But that's kind of big, and good, because it should pop that information up and allow people to just press one key and quickly get somebody new into the squad lead position and stuff like that, to get new beacons down and other things like that in game. So that's big. Like I said, he mentioned it in passing before, so there's that. But after that came out, somebody said, is there anything else that you can tell us about squad stuff coming in coming soon or in the next game update? And Wrel did go into more information. He said some of the squad stuff is done, or mostly done, and in a state where they just want to push it out rather than wait for the next patch for squad stuff and the new spawn system. So I think we're going to see a lot more little squad stuff coming in this next game update, along with the /squad promote me hotkey option. He didn't go into any details on what those things are, but I do think that we're going to see some other things like that. He did also say that they have a good grip on what they want to do with the spawn system changes that'll be coming in the next game update. So not the one next week, but the one that they're going to do after that. So, I mean, we're probably talking a July or August update. But he did go into more detail on some of the other stuff that we're going to see. They're revisiting the entire squad pane to kind of make it different. They're going to make the Hearts squad as the default squad. So there's always going to be 4 fire teams, but that default one is going to say Hearts, and everybody's going to go into the Hearts squad to begin with, and then you can drop people out into the other fire team channels itself. Also, he said that they're adding the ability to chat within fire team by using /FT and then typing whatever you want. It will only send that message to your fire team group. He said some other messaging changes are coming to the game, like adding whenever you're promoted to squad leader, fire team leader, or platoon leader, it's going to pop a message across the top of your screen so that you're aware of it, not just in your chat channel. That's kind of a big one. He also said that soon they will be getting rid of orders chat altogether, which I was not aware of, and I don't think a lot of people on the channel were aware of. That's kind of a big thing. Instead, they're going to be adding a /sitrep command. So if you type in /sitrep, it's going to pop back information to you in chat that's going to tell you your location, the time to capture your current location, and if you're underpopped by, like, say, 40% lower, it's going to tell you that you need reinforcements as well. So, again, getting rid of orders chat and replacing it with a sitrep command. Kind of interesting stuff. I don't know how much of that stuff is actually going to be coming in the next game update, but this is all part of the squad stuff that they want to push out later in the game. So I really appreciate Wrel just taking a few seconds and talking about some of this in his stream so that I could have something fresh and interesting to talk about on this week's show. But with that, let's move into housekeeping, because like I said, I got a couple emails to read this week.
Housekeeping. Housekeeping.
Come back later, please.
Housekeeping.
Not now.
Housekeeping.
Go away.
I coming anyway?
So first email is from Louis, and Louis writes, so they let medics unlock carbines with ASP points. Why do you suppose they didn't let light assaults use assault rifles? Now, that's a pretty good question. I don't know why they didn't let light assaults use assault rifles. I mean, a lot of the other ones can. I really don't know. Maybe they're thinking that assault rifles are too powerful, when in the hands of a light assault in an interesting area. Say a light assault gets on top of a building, maybe the assault rifles are too powerful for where they're able to get to. That's the only thing that I can think of, Louis, regarding that. But thank you for your email. Next, I got one from Kalu as well, and he wrote, "Good day, Mark," because he's Australian. And he says, after some time away from Planetside and now returning and seeing how much the game has evolved over the space of a year or so was amazing. To then find out that your podcast is still running was music to my ears. Just wanted to say I admire your dedication and passion for a great game we all love. Keep up the good work, mate. Kalu, thank you. Yes, we're on episode 159, which means next week 160. I'm closing in on my 200th episode, which is really nothing to sneeze at when you think about it. I'm still podcasting, and I'm glad that you're still listening. But that's going to be it for this week's show. And again, I apologize for being a little shorter than normal, but chicken wings are calling my name as well as other stuff. But how can you get in touch with me or the show? Well, first off, visit my website, www.instantactionpodcast.com. Send me an email like Louie and Kalu did, instantactionshow@gmail.com. Call me, leave me a voicemail, 347-4VM-4PS2 or 347-486-4772. As always, follow the show on Twitter at InstActPodcast, or you can follow my personal Twitter. It's at The Derringer. But in closing, if you've enjoyed the show, please leave me a review on your podcast listening avenue of choice, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or anywhere else. Also, feel free to tell your friends and outfit mates about the show. And finally, thanks for listening, and keep spamming that Join Combat, formerly known as Instant Action button.
Get your arms combined.